Hey, happy Friday. Happy Digest Day. Megan Schultz here, host of Cream City Dreams podcast on Wednesdays and these small, bite-sized Cream City Digests on Fridays. I hope you're digging this season of joy, listening to all the women who are bringing joy to our city. And you know what's bringing me joy is this detox I'm on, this social media detox in the month of June. And I thought that maybe sharing my experience with this might inspire some of you to pay attention to your attention, where you put it, who you give it to, and really being more intentional about living in the present. And isn't that really what we're all just trying to do? Hey, happy Friday. Happy last day of school for those who have kids finishing up today. Happy almost summer. Solstice is just around the corner. And at least here in Wisconsin, it feels like summer has finally arrived with temps over 60 for many days in a row now. I want to talk just a little bit about this social media detox I'm on. I'm 13 days into it, and I have to say, I'm still loving it. I am not missing being online like I thought I would. I'm not missing the pressure to post. I'm not missing the pressure to respond or comment or create reels. And I have to say, after my conversation with Tekla last month, and if you missed it, Tekla Brumder-Ross is a clinical psychologist who was with me for 4 episodes while we talked about our attention. I highly recommend you go back and give it a listen. But I thought I might have more of the symptoms of withdrawals. I thought I would crave it more. But there have been a couple instances this week where I have accidentally stumbled on it because a link took me to Facebook or Instagram that I didn't know was going to take me there. And I just quickly logged off. I didn't even check the little spot that shows you how many likes or hearts you have. I wasn't looking for red dots. I just simply got off it right away. That FOMO that I was really, like, if I was worried about anything, I thought it would be the FOMO. Like, what am I missing? Who's doing things that I'm not a part of anymore? Or what's happening in the social scene? I'm not missing it. And if I am missing something, I don't know that I'm missing it. So how can I miss it? Like if a tree falls, right? It's okay. It's going okay so far. A friend of mine said to me earlier this week, she said, wow, I can't even imagine how much energy you must be getting back. And of course, I'm thinking like, yes, absolutely. I'm not spending all this time scrolling and doom scrolling and clickbait clicking and, and then she went on to say, yes, that energy, but also the energy that you take on from other people's posts and the energy that I now don't have to take on from those kinds of posts. And I hadn't really thought about it like that. And that just made so much sense. Social media is just this huge ball of energy, and not necessarily even negative energy, but an urgent sort of energy, an urgency and a chaoticness that I'm just not tapping into anymore. And that does feel really good. Which is not to say that I'm not feeling that urgency or that I don't know what's going on in the world around me. In fact, if I'm honest, I think I've probably replaced some of the social media, reaching for my phone for social media. I've replaced that with looking at the news or checking out my emails, and my emails are full of all these Substacks and newsletters from political people, which I probably should unsubscribe from. So I think the next phase of the detox might have to be taking off some of those sites or unsubscribing or possibly even taking off email because, of course, I'm still going there. I haven't entirely mastered the art of just sitting in stillness, of just not having the craving or the urge to look at something. So I guess maybe the cravings are still there. I talked last week about doing things to make my phone a dumb phone, and I think I have, but I think maybe this week I need to make it even dumber. But I am finding that I have a lot more room to think and to create. I've gotten my watercolors out a few times. I'm doing this little 30-day art project where each square on this piece of paper is a different day, and I just make a tiny little art project in that square. And the squares are made from painter's tape. So at the end of 30 days, I'll rip off the painter's tape and I'll have 30 different little squares to remind me of this experience. So I'm having fun with that. Because I'm not spending so much time creating posts or reels or promoting the podcast, it is leaving me with more time to think about what's coming. I'm sort of waxing philosophically about next season, about what's next for the podcast. I've said this many times this season, but I'm turning 50 in September, and what's coming next for me personally, professionally. And because I front-loaded the podcast this season and did a lot of the interviews while the kids were still in school to make sure I could get them all finished and promoted before June, I also have more time to think about my Cream City dream, which I haven't done for a while. I think I've been living vicariously through all these women and their dreams. And this time that I have back is making me think, what would my dream be? What would I be doing? Maybe beside the podcast or in addition to the podcast, which of course is very dreamy and I love doing, but is there something, more specific that I would be doing, more where I'm getting my hands dirty and getting out and about in the community? And it's been fun to think about that. So it has also been fun to do more things in real life. So shout out to the women who came to the coffee that I hosted for listeners on Monday over at Valentine Coffee. It was fun to meet people in the flesh. Tekla and I were there, and we had this really generative, really thoughtful conversation about screens and gaming and kids and how do we do this in the summer. And we all agreed it was a conversation that needs to continue because this is very real for everyone. I think this idea of detoxing, of taking time off or putting limits or boundaries is really hitting a nerve for people. And people want to talk about it because it is just helpful to do it in community and not feel like you're in a silo or in a bubble doing this all on your own, because we're all in these times, these crazy online times together trying to figure this out. So shout out to those women for coming out. And I'm hoping to have another event later this month. I have a friend of mine who has just been trained as a forest therapy guide. And I'm hoping we can sneak in a walk, a guided walk. So if you've never done forest bathing or forest therapy, as it is referred to, sign up for my newsletter. Why let the kids have all the fun at summer camps? Let's get out into the woods ourselves. So creamcitydreams.com, and you can sign up for the newsletter and find out when this will be. I'll send out info to my newsletter peeps. And if you are taking a detox in June with me, I would love to hear how it's going for you. Also on the website is a widget where you can leave me a recording. I think you can only talk for up to 90 seconds, but tell me how it's going. I would love to hear. I'd love to celebrate your successes and maybe share them with listeners on the digest next week. Or drop me an email or use the contact form on the website. I hope you are taking this month, this summer, as the weather changes, the flowers bloom, the vegetables start sprouting, to notice the beauty that is around us, to notice the people who are around us, to notice the goodness that is around us, because Lord knows there's a lot that's not, and Lord knows there is so much we could be paying attention to that is not positive. But I hope as you look around, you are able to find some bright spots, some glimmers. There's certainly several on this weekend, of course, in Milwaukee. This is the summer of festivals. This is the summer of outdoor music, art, culture, and I hope you'll stay tuned to the podcast because for the next couple weeks, we have women who are doing incredible things this summer that you can get out to see live music, live art, events, beach nights, all the things that we'll be talking about next week with Mary Joy Hickey of Girls Rock MKE, and the following week, Steph Salvia of Joy Engine. If you remember those gigantic octopus cosmopods that were on the beaches last summer with the fun festival-like atmosphere, we're talking about all that in the next few weeks. So I hope you will tune in, like and subscribe the podcast wherever you get yours so that you never miss an episode. All right. Until next week, Milwaukee, keep on dreaming.